because we see other holiday celebrations that are culturally celebrated. And then we talk about Kwanzaa, it's like, no, those are religious practices. And I'm like, well, it's kind of like Dia de los Muertos, right? Not the same, but we want to be able to at least introduce these concepts to our children and other children so they can understand more of global culture. So go ahead and share. I'm sorry, I saw April and Cameron say they had something to share.
Oh, yeah. Yes, Regina, that was bomb. That was bomb. I like that whole idea about the holidays around the world. Like, that's beautiful. But one of the things that I know we faced with the APAC this past year was like when we wanted to implement something, like whether it was have somebody to come and speak, who had all these credentials, but was somebody that was going to educate our students. We had to kind of go through all these hoops, and it was just ridiculous. Like it's like we had to get clearance from the president, just to get somebody. And I'm like, you have all these people come to speak to the students or speak to the staff, but when it comes to us wanting something to be done, it didn't make sense to me, and it didn't match up with what other people had to do. They just came up with an idea, hey, I think we should do this, and then they just run it by somebody and they're like, oh yeah, go ahead, do that or whatever, But with us, it's like, okay, we have to take it through the proper channels. Oh, now you want, now you want to go by the book, and it's just like, if we're going to go by the book, I'm totally fine with that, but everybody across the board needs to do the same, and so that was like our challenges.
So true, and it's like, even though we have to face these huge battles just to do one thing, we continue to fight, right? Because we know that our kids and other kids are depending on that. I love the statement that I'm not only the grandmother of one kid, I'm the grandmother of 800 kids, right? Yep. Because I really do know that they're happening, and the burden of proof of if they care about what's happening with all kids needs to be on them as well. Cameron?
I was just gonna piggyback sort of what April was saying is about the challenges. I see it both sides from the challenges with APAC, as well as right now I'm working with my son's BSU and trying to get them officially recognized on campus through as one of the clubs on campus. And the kids are getting a lot of pushback from their own students, like, well, why would you need a BSU? Why do we need this on campus? Then we're going to start a white student organization, and they're getting a lot of the challenges that unfortunately, if they're not experienced in the fight, it's just going to wear them down and frustrate them to the point that it's like it's almost it's not welcomed enough for it to thrive. It's like, okay, we'll throw you, some bones, and we'll let you get a couple of steps ahead. Like the kids were able to have meetings, they were welcome to have meetings, but it's just trying to press upon them that no, you have to keep pushing to be first recognized as an official club on campus, and that you guys have a right to have this type of club. And I'm actually pushing for all the high schools under the district to reunite their BSUs, because it's just not in the numbers for them to be separate with each high school. I think they need the support from each other. I just it's just the challenges, and then it's up to the parents and it's up to APAC that we just have to step in to say, look, we're here to go through these challenges with you. We're here to go through these hurdles with you to make sure that you guys are being recognized as a legitimate club on campus, and that this is something that we want to go from generation to generation. We don't want it to die off with the graduating seniors and then that's it. There's no more talk of BSU. This is something that should be here to stay and has a right to be here. So.
Thank you. Yes, definitely.
I'm sorry, if there's one more thing, Katrina, I just wanted to touch upon when you mentioned about your daughter and how I have African American, I mean, I have a daughter who um, I feel had similar experiences. And I feel that, you know, we're talking a lot from what we're doing on the elementary level, but we also have to see how that, you know, you're not so welcomed on the middle school level and high school level to be on campus as much as you are on the elementary level, but there's, you know, finding ways on how to still support the clubs and whatever, you know, reaching out to the teachers. And I feel especially with our African American or our Black girls, they're going through a lot with also self-image, because the image is, you know, the message isn't telling them that they're beautiful. The message is telling them that, you know, if they get a, oh, you're okay for a Black girl, that, you know, and that, and despite how we might have internalized that, or we might have been in different environments to say, hey, we're strong enough to overcome that, it is affecting them and they are carrying it on. And, you know, it was one of my daughter's reasons for going to an HBCU, because she really wanted to have that connection to her culture. She wanted to be able to experience that. So, you know, I try to educate other young men and women about the HBCU experience, because I know there's none other like it. And if they're coming from these type of environments, they're in need of that. They want to express and be able to tap into that culture. So that's why I'm just saying, you know, we also have to communicate and stay tapped into our kids and how they're feeling and the experiences. From a male perspective, my son's always been involved in athletics, but they've always been pushed into the areas of basketball or football, because that's most likely. And then when I had my middle son reach out to go into water polo, the pushback and the challenges he gets from that, because the culture states, you're a Black male, you're a Black boy, y'all don't swim, y'all not supposed to be in our old boys club. And they're met with that culture of, we don't really want you here. You're gonna be the butt of our jokes and you're gonna have to deal with it. So I'm sorry going on, but yes.
No, it's funny. My son swims and plays water polo too. One of the kids on his team wrote "nigga" on his water polo ball.
Wow.
So, yeah. So that's really how our APAC started, because I lost my mind and I went crazy. They had the superintendent of the school district, Mr. Johnson. We had a meeting with all of them, and it was just me. And from there, that's how APAC started. But it is so, it's crazy that when our kids, especially at Great Oak, when you walk in, you don't see any representation from the admin, from the counseling office, to the receptionist, to there's like maybe one or two. The funny thing is, it's funny how you guys mentioned how you moved up here and how it was so different. I still, when I see people of color or Black people, I'm still like, hey.
Right. Like, hi.
Especially when they come to Great Oak, or if I see you at Great Oak and you're a mom, I'm like, so, you know.
What I think is going to be really, really important moving forward is that at Temescal, they've already established their BSU. Elsinore is trying to establish their BSU, at least for us in Elsinore Unified School District. I think moving forward, the important thing that we all need to do is get a hold of our Black parents, talk to our Black parents, get their names and numbers and exchange them. I think we need to start establishing BSUs in the junior high schools and at the elementary school level, because our kids at the elementary school is when they start being impressed by what's going on around them. And they need to have more pressure and more strength coming from us than from what's going on outside. So when they go, no, I'm a beautiful Black woman. I don't know if you guys all know it, but last year when we did the Black History Month program, my kids did a presentation on beauty. Because last year, for the first time in the history of the world, every single major pageant was won by a Black woman. All 8.
Right.
all 8. And literally, when we were talking about it on stage, I almost started crying because that's when it hit me. It's like, we were the new standard of beauty. We are the standard of beauty. They try to get our eyes, our lips, our hairs, our hips, everything that we have, they want. But they would never publicly acknowledge that we are beautiful. And then last year, it hit for the world to see. So when you're looking at your daughters and going, no, you're a beautiful person. Your hair natural in braids, straightened, however you want to wear it, it's part of who you are personality-wise. It does not make you who you are, but you are beautiful. When Miss Universe, I can't remember how to pronounce her name, wore her natural hair short and took that title from every other woman on the entire planet. It was the most beautiful thing ever. And
so, you know, as we go into our final thoughts and words of advice, and we definitely should have these conversations more often. You know, I do have to say that I have been advising multiple districts that we should have a district level APAC, right? In all the districts. Look, Riverside County has 6.9% Black people living in it, and average about 2% in schools. We need to be collectively in being able to voice what's going on. That's not going to happen per site when you only have 1% Black kids at that school site. We need to support each other, right? And then just moving from that district level APAC, and how can we have a county level APAC meeting yearly, right? Where all of us as parents come together and be able to support one another, and then have that county, Riverside County level of Black Student Union. So hopefully we'll see that coming up here soon. That's my recommendation, so that united we stand, right? I hear you all, I see you, and thank you for sharing. Please give a tip or whatever your final thought is to the viewers. Thank you so much.
I guess what I would say is to remind parents again that you are your child's first teacher. Learning, like I said, I'm doing this the second time by the grace of God, but I communicate a lot more with my son. You know, we go back and forth to school every day, we're together. And so because he talks to me, later on, if he's facing problems, he's gonna tell me about it too, because a lot of times, unfortunately, our kids don't tell us. So, and that's one thing as I've been in conversation with Monica and other parents and teachers in my district, sometimes things are going on at the schools and the kids don't even tell us, and we have no clue until way after the fact. So that's one thing I would just remind all my parents, is that you are your child's first teacher, and we won't do it perfectly, but that's why we need each other. Read the resources, you know, be a reader, keep learning yourself, and keep that door open. So again, you can always be your child's first and most prominent advocate.
Can I jump in?
Yep, go ahead.
The communication is really, really key. I like that. What I used to do is drive my kids, get them in the back seat, and just talk about everything, because they can't escape, number one, because they're in the back seat, and they're not looking. We're not looking at each other, so they are free to just, Mom, you know what happened today? And that really, it really helps, especially like, you know, coming home from school or going to school. And we just stay connected with one another, even after our kids are out of the school district, because that's my fear, is that, you know, when our kids leave, that you know, it's going to end. I don't know.
I'd like to say that I agree with what both ladies just said, but also remind your children on a regular basis that you are their warrior. You are there to defend anything that they think about, want to do, think, dream. You support, you will make it happen. You will move heaven and earth to get them whatever it is that they need. And as long as you keep reminding them and reminding them and reminding them, they don't think twice about it. It's like, oh no, you said no, but my mom said I could do this. My grandma said I could do this. I can be anything and anyone I want to. Remind them that you are their warrior, you will fight for them. And in fighting for them, they will learn how to fight for themselves. But they know if they pick up a stick, you're gonna pick up a branch and get where they gotta go.
Just to piggyback off of that's so true, Regina. That's what I was, definitely thinking is, letting them know that you are their advocate no matter what is going on, that, even if the school calls and says there's some issue or whatever, that you're going to go to that school and you're going to investigate what's going on, and you're going to get all sides of it, and that they not be afraid to communicate to you or bring something to you. That's what your primary role is there to be. Like you said, their warrior, whatever the situation is, to definitely come to you, even, that you are there to fight for them. You are their advocate, definitely. And my final note is just that please continue to keep talking and sharing your experiences, because most likely what you're going through, other people are going through. We definitely need to be reaching out to Black parents in our community and letting them know, hey, I'm in the schools, this is what I'm seeing, or, I'm there. Whatever questions you may have, come to me. Let's share our experiences so that we can work towards solutions and make sure for the betterment of all our kids.
I just want to say something. I know that like there are some parents who feel like their children really don't want to be singled out if they are to join something like the BSU or if they join the Apac, and some of them feel like, well, why, like somebody mentioned before, like, why do we need to have this? Like, they don't want to ruffle any feathers, and they don't want to make it all about their child being Black. And so, like, when I go out and I like meet people, like I was talking to this one lady at Walmart, and I was telling her about the APAC and the BSU. She had no idea. And her son goes to the same school as my son, and she had no idea about it. And so I was telling her, and when I first told her, she told me later, she said that I thought that it was maybe just something like a, where it's just Black kids, and it's kind of like singling them out. And I explained it to her. I'm like, no, it's not about that. I said, really, anybody can join. I said, it's just a way for us to have inclusion like that, and where we can be ourselves, where our children can be authentic, and let them know that there's somebody here at the school that's for you, that's supporting you, even when you can't come. And so, like, I think it's very, very, very important for us to reach out to these parents. When you just see them at the grocery store or whatever, just reach out, because it's your community, it's your community. And the African proverb is what, it takes a village to raise a child, right? And so with us being so spread out, it's important for us to reach out, because it's not a whole bunch of us. So I'm the same way, like Monica said, when I see a Black family or whatnot, I'm like, whoa, look at that unicorn, and so we, and I know that there are a lot of mixed families, like the lady I was talking to at Walmart, she's married to a white man, and she kind of felt like, maybe her kids wouldn't be welcome. And I'm like, yes, they most certainly would be. So that's the mentality that some people have. And it's important for us to reach out and let them know, no, you are welcome. We want you here. Okay. So we got to figure out how we can reach all of these parents, because they're not being reached for some reason. They're not.
The school district has 50%.
And so, my final thought is, parents, teach your kids, and even you might have to reassess this in yourself, just be happy with the skin you're in, the size you are, your hair. God does not, and I'm a person of faith, waste anything, not our eye color, not our eyebrows, not our hair color, nothing. And so teach your kids just to be happy in their uniqueness, just to understand that they have a set of talents, abilities, gifts that they have to share with the world. No one else has that. No one else will be like them. And so with them understanding who they are, and that identity strength will help them to be able to not allow other people to paint a picture about them. You know, and as we close, definitely need to be moving BSU and Apac to the next level over here in Riverside County. I'm here to support. Thank you for coming on, sharing your powerful voices. We'll do more of this in the future. Everyone that's watching, I put my email address in the chat, in the comments. You can reach out to me for more support, feedback, questions, and thank you all. You guys have a wonderful day. You have been watching Managing Day to Day with me, Christina Lasser, and National Parents Union. I hope you're all well. I hope you're all thriving. Goodbye, America's beautiful children. We love you as always, and we'll see you again on Thursday for PE with Coach. Bye-bye.
Bye.